Alright guys, now we know all the different kinds of content that we can have on a page. And we also know how to display different kinds of content on a page using different tags inside the HTML document. But sometimes while creating a web page, we may encounter some data that must be displayed in such a way that it should be easier to read and digestible for users. For example, food ingredients, shopping items, marks obtained in different subject, etc. For such kind of data, the HTML table provides a straightforward way to structure the data in a tabular form. Actually, the HTML tables were introduced to structure the data in a more digestible way. But in the past, as CSS was not widely supported in different browsers, therefore the HTML tables were only the means by which websites were created, mostly for positioning elements, creating multi-column layouts, etc. But fortunately, those were in the past. Now we have CSS supported in every browser. Therefore, the HTML tables are used specifically for organizing data only. So to create or introduce a table on a page, the table element is defined inside the HTML document. And the table element represents the data in tabular form that is contained within rows and columns, etc. So let's experiment how we actually implement a table inside a page. For that purpose, here I have taken one index.html file with a standard HTML document, and inside the style.css file we have few normal styles. And if we look at our page here, that looks something like this. We have just a heading on our page. So now let's have a table element inside the HTML document. So after the h1 tag, let's define a table element. This is how we introduce a table element inside the HTML document. Now if we look at our page, we don't have anything still. We have just taken one table element, but we haven't taken any kind of data inside this table. And to take data inside the table element, we use table row and table data. Once the table element is defined, table row or tr element is added. So to display the data inside the table element, we will first take one tr element. Now once the tr element is defined inside the table element, to display our data inside the table, we use td element inside the tr. All the data inside the table comes inside the table data, that is td element. After the table and table rows are defined, table data is added using td element inside rows. So this is our table data. Now let's write something inside this td. Let's say laptop. Now save it. Now give it a refresh. So here we have our laptop. This is our table data. We can have multiple table data inside the tr element. So this table data or td element will create number of columns one by one. Right now we are having just one column inside this table. So to introduce another data or table data, we can use another table element, sorry, td element. So let's write this time apple. Save it, do it a refresh. Now we are having two table data, that means two column. Similarly, let's have one more column. This time let's have say 799. Now save it, then give it a refresh again. So now we are having three columns inside this table. We can also have multiple rows. So right now we are having just one rows, that is tr, and inside this tr we are having three column, that is three td element. So let's have one more row now, copy and paste. So this time we are having td, say mouse apple. This time let's say $100. Save it, then give it a refresh. Okay, right now inside this page we are having a table, and inside the table we are having two rows and three different columns. So to make it more clear, let's add some border to our table here. Border 1px solid, give it a refresh. So this is our table, and so to td let's define border in1px solid. Save it, then give it a refresh. Here we are having, so this is our, the outer border is our table, and inside we are having first column this td, and second column td, third column again td, and then we are having second row tr. So this is how we define table elements, and inside the table elements to represent our data we use tr for representing table rows, and inside the table rows we define table data using td element.